TPCSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Jared, hey, we're gonna need you to tone it down with the Summer Friday thing, okay?
What are you talking about?
Well, for one, it's not summer anymore.
Oh, really?
Coconut. Also, who is this?
I'm the caddy.
Oh, he's my intern.
Sorry, intern. I'm his intern.
Yeah, he's doing a great job.
No golfing in the office, okay? Summer Fridays are over. You can keep the Hawaiian shirt, but the rest of this stuff, all right? Are you grilling?
Oh, yeah. Did you want a burger or a hot dog?
No, grilling in the office.
That's a good point. We should take this outside.
No, that don't. You put that right back down.
Yo, it's all in the hips.
Oh, dude, come on, we gotta go. Let's go.
From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors. Happy Feast Week, happy Thanksgiving. A holiday to be grateful, a holiday I think that a lot of us take for granted. There are so many people that are less fortunate, and it's a time that we need to be grateful, a time to look in the mirror, look to the left, look to the right, and just be appreciative to what we have and not just want. So myself and Riley here to get you caught up on what's going on. And this time of year, all the basketball games, it's just crazy. It's bedlam. All the tournaments. I'll get one more vent session in on the UConn Huskies, who are now 0-2 as my phone is ringing, of course. 0-2 in the Maui Classic. 14-point favorite against Colorado. And they lose at the buzzer. So it is what it is. We shall move on. First and foremost, of course, shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download that app. It is free. Myself, Zach, Travis, Amber, Holly, Jay Berry, Matt, the rest of that team will take great care of you, I promise. Viva Tequila Seltzer, the new flavor of the month. Not the month, the new flavor is lemon. Coconut this summer, now lemon, 6 flavors in all. Shout out to CT Bets, Austin, the rest of that team and family. Go try one where you purchase adult beverages. And of course, Atlanta Steaks and Seafood. Jump on over to Facebook, introduce yourself, and follow Terry Smith. From there, head on over to atlantasteaksandseafood.com. Place an order. I don't know if he's still using this week the promo Steaks 10, get 10% off the whole order. I know Matt Grissom and a few other colleagues and friends took good advantage of it last week and are grilling for Thanksgiving. So without further ado, let's bring him in. Mr. Riley Magnuson. What's up, champ?
What is up, my friend? Happy Wild Wednesday. I guess I don't know what you want to call it, but Feast Week rolls along, and we've had some good college basketball action. Just had an exciting game finish before the show just went on air. So I have been enjoying some basketball late last night and into today. So I'm sure we've got plenty of stuff to talk about. Obviously, we got some NFL games coming up tomorrow. Some rivalry week games in college football, but nonetheless, I'm ready to roll, and we've got some really good basketball games on the docket tonight.
Well, I'm on to something. A couple years ago, we were way ahead of the curve on the overs in college hoops for the month of November and December. Started January. The market didn't catch up till mid-January, and we were up about 30 units. Last year, we dove into the team totals, was real successful. I'm on to something right now, but it's not for the weak of heart. And I'll tip my hand a little here. We got a lot of sources for college basketball, but we're looking at the 28, 30, 35, 40-point favorites, and we're taking the team total under of its opponents. And we've been real successful so far, but it's not for the weak of heart.
Oh.
On Sunday, we lost 2 games in the last 30 seconds. The team's down 30, 35, 40, and they shoot a 3, whack. And so, the under over was 55.5. It lands on 56 or 57. We went 2-0 last night, and we got the second one in by the team had to score on its last 3 possessions, scored on its last 2, and missed on its last possession. So we get that one. Today, we got New Orleans team total under 57 against Baylor. And 21 at half. We're pacing real good. Well, guess what happens? In the last minute, they score 5 points. And let's just say they hit that 3 with 40 seconds left to go over. So here's the funny, though. Again, one of our sources, of course, is Ken Palm. He had 60. He had it right to the damn T. He had a team that was, a bazillion point underdogs, and he had it to the T. So again, we got daggered there. We got one that's pacing good right now. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but again, it's not for the faint of heart. I'm going to take the stage one more time. I did on Monday. Today's Wednesday. I'm just going to clear the air one more time on the, not embarrassment, the 0-2 start for UConn and Maui, as we're having trouble with Twitter. I mean, what's new? Nothing is new today. It's one of those days. So anyone on Twitter, jump on over to East Coast Sports Investors on YouTube. It looks like there's an issue here. Let me move that there. Remove. No. All right. Anyways. So you lose in overtime to Memphis. Hurley makes an ass of himself, literally.
Yeah.
And I didn't know 2-time champs don't get those calls. I'm like, Dan, please, enough here. So now you're 15-point favorites against a Colorado team. You played a good first half. What signified UConn the last 2 years, if their offense wasn't clicking, it was their gritty defense. It hasn't showed up in Maui. And they allowed Colorado to get back into the game and to hang around. And again, an over-the-back call, again, costs UConn. And then the flipsy-do with 5 seconds left, UConn loses. So they've lost 2 in a row. They got the midnight game against Dayton, probably with their bags packed and the engine and the car in the airplane warming up. They'll be fine, guys. They'll be fine. But if you thought this was going to be just a cakewalk to cut the nets down come first Monday in April, God, I got a bridge, 2 of them right down the road to sell you, please.
Right. No, and we talked about it yesterday, but at some point, and again, it's going to be interesting to see what this team looks like in 3 months from now. Could be very different from right now, but at some point there's going to be some growing pains with the amount of turnover that they had. Didn't really see it a ton last year. Obviously, saw bits and pieces of it and points of it these last couple of years. But it's bound to. You can't have that much turnover and then instantly just run the table and win Maui and then run through December and January and now you're looking as the number one team again. They could be a top 5 team in no time again here. But obviously some growing pains, and I'm sure in a lot of cases coaches obviously they would prefer to win games, especially tournament games. But there's plenty of cases where it's not a bad thing to take some licks on the chin here in November or December, and you're better off for it by the time you get to conference play.
I've been watching a lot of basketball just so I know what the competition obviously looks like. I'm a numbers guy. I just read spreadsheets, numbers, adjustments, use Ken Palm and all our sources. So if you ask me to name the starting 5 on most teams or the bench, I'm lucky if I know the coach and how long he's been there for, what was the turnover there. But my point is, again, I'll say it till March. Duke scares the shit out of me. They went into Arizona. They handled Arizona, and it was a perfect spot for Kansas last night as well there. So not surprised there. I like what I see from Houston. I like what I see from Alabama. I like what I see from the Zags. And I know there's a handful of teams that I just didn't mention.
Right, and I was the only one I was going to add into, and they're actually playing right now for the Maui Championship is Auburn, who's undefeated, looked fantastic last night. On top of taking down UNC last night, I already got one on Iowa State earlier this week. Took down Houston, who you just talked about. So Auburn, obviously, it's doesn't matter anything now, but they probably got the best resume as it stands right now, and wins. Unless I'm drawing a blank on maybe Kansas. I probably has a couple obviously great wins on top of Duke, but. Auburn looks fantastic as well. Memphis, even if they lose this, is going to jump into the rankings. Iowa State is going to be interesting. They've got that interesting brand of basketball and have kind of supplanted themselves as a threat, but still to be seen what or maybe we've seen the ceiling for the tournament. Maybe they've got they've had some tastes of it, and now this year could be the year they break through. So interested to see how that goes. Tennessee is another one I'm interested to see start playing some tough games. And then of course I don't need to go too deep into it, but the Big Ten gonna have it's gonna be deep, but no team that's really wowing you on paper. Or on the court necessarily. Purdue, obviously, good win against Bama, and then turns around and loses to Marquette. And I believe we've got some good games coming up. Indiana loses today. Illinois plays Arkansas, I think, tomorrow. But nonetheless, Big Ten, don't think this is the year they end the title drought, my friend, but they might have 8 teams in the tournament nonetheless, though.
Before the tournament started, I'm losing track of days here. I think it was on Monday. We gave out, obviously, if you liked UConn in the tournament, instead of betting them every game, they were plus 150 to win the tournament. I did give out Auburn plus 330. So again, and some of the ECSI VIPs could and should be holding some part of a Auburn plus 330. And my saver was UNC plus 450. Those are the numbers that I was staring at there. There's a team that Adam Trigger, I give credit where credit's due. Adam came on a month ago before the season started. And I talked to some of my colleagues, a total turnover, a team it's going to cut the nets down, but a team to reckon with. And you talked about Indiana and the ass whooping. He was talking about Louisville. And I know Denny Crum's not coaching there. And I know Purvis Ellison wasn't playing at center. And I could list them, Milt Wagner. I could go on and on about potential Louisville, alum here. But I know Indiana's always been Jekyll and Hyde, but what the hell was it just a no-show, obviously?
Yeah, I didn't get to watch too much of that one today, but no show. And you said it. I mean, Louisville, these last couple of years have been an absolute laughingstock for the most part. I was trying to see where they finished up per Ken Palm these last couple of years, but anyways, and Indiana was kind of the popular name as far as a bandwagon to jump onto for the Big Ten, and I do think they're going to be good. I think they're a tournament team, but I was kind of pumping the brakes a little bit as far as we've kind of seen this trend and story these last few years of just, Indiana gets some good recruits or they get some good transfers, get some guys back. And even though they were mediocre the previous year or, maybe slightly above average, we expect, and it's natural to think because so many times you see when you get guys returning or obviously you bring guys in, you can make that jump. But sometimes teams just are what they are and they don't improve that much. Again, I think they're a good team and they'll be a tournament team, but I wasn't buying the sizzle on Indiana coming into the season, at least for where they were being projected. I think they'll be fine. For their sake, hopefully this is a wake-up call that they can't just sleepwalk into some of these games.
Baseball winter, the hot stove coming up, I think in about 10 days. Last night, the rich get richer. That's all I can say. And again, here's the funny is, I listened to Lou Merlone. He put out a walking the dog 2-minute video, and he says, Jeff, telling the Red Sox Nation, they're in the National League West. So you face them if you're lucky, which we know we won't be facing the Dodgers if they make it, and of course the Red Sox in the last week of October. They are doing something that everyone can do. And the fact is, when they brought Ohtani over, now they've done deferred payments before to Mookie Betts and a few others, but not to the magnitude of Ohtani. Once they landed Ohtani, the Dodgers became a destination.
Yep.
That allowed them, with that contract, to go out and get Yamamoto. And then they bring in Toscar Hernandez, yada, yada, yada. The rest is history. So what do? They say, now they offered Walker Buehler $21 million for 1 year. And then I guess the market for Walker is 2 for 32. So if he wants to go out and try to get a 2-year deal and guarantee himself $32 million, God bless him. But they did offer him 21 and he rejected it. So what do? They call up Blake Sellers' agent and says, hey, we'll offer you 5 for 180 or whatever the actual number was, but we're going to defer X. And how'd you like to pitch behind Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow? You can be our 4th, our 3rd. You can be our 5th. We don't care. Sign me up, coach. I mean, that's just the way it is. And everyone knows that they're getting Saki. So there's another arm that they're going to add there. And now they can add a bat if Toscar wants to come back. But what they are doing is not illegal. I guess that's my sermon there.
No, and we talked about it with the Yankees as far as if they want to be back into ending their title drought or into the conversation of the evil empire, they got to do what the Dodgers are doing. The Dodgers are doing what the Yankees, it's been 15 years now since the Yankees went that above and beyond as far, at least off the top of my head. Obviously, they're one of the highest payrolls, if not the second highest payroll, whatever it is. But just far and away the biggest payroll. And when you think how could they possibly spend any more money, and then they go out and get somebody else. So Dodgers are going to be there, and they've proven even with injuries that they're going to be there. So, man, if they're fully healthy, then there's really no stopping them, and it's you feel for the other teams in the division because the Padres have obviously gone at least above and beyond for their market standards for the most part, and now they're going to be fighting, scratching, and clawing to compete with them, and then obviously if you reach for the stars and or shoot for the moon and you land upon the stars, then you'll still make the playoffs. But for God's sakes. That's a great team that obviously they lose Blake Snell, but you know what I mean here. They're they've got a little ways to go to catch up to the Dodgers.
How about this? 4 games set a Thursday through Sunday, and it's divisional. You're 4 games back. You want to at least go 2-2. At worst, 3-1 to gain 2 games. And Thursday you face Ohtani. Friday you face Glasnow. Saturday Yamamoto, and then you're like, oh, I get there number 4, and it's Blake Snell.
Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And they'll find a way. They'll re-sign Walker Buehler, and they'll go with those 5.
So that's the start. And listen, the Juan Soto thing, Sox up in their deal, up in their years, yada, yada, yada. And if he's got to walk in the 3rd or 4th year, don't even offer. Listen, guys, don't get forced to be the square peg in the round hole. Now the Red Sox Nation are turning their attention to Max Fried. Well, when he goes and stays with Atlanta or goes somewhere else. Now we're going to turn our attention to Corbin Burns. And I guess the way I understood it today, Riley, is they're back to the John Henry and Dave Dombrowski days where they said, Dave, here's a 5-year contract. Here's the checkbook. You got to get us to a World Series and win a World Series in 5 years. Dave did that. He spent like a drunken sailor, supposedly tore down our farm system, which he did not. Won us a World Series and now having great success in Philadelphia. So don't get stuck with the checkbook and feel like you got to spend like a drunken sailor. Again, for the last time, don't worry about Fried. Don't worry about Burns. Your number one focal point should be Garrett Crochet. What does it take to bring him back? Then call up Seattle, bring one of those pitchers back, and then bring in a Walker Buehler or a Blackjack Flaherty or someone of like that ilk for a 1 or 2 year deal. Start there, then look at what you call frontline and backline pitches. Tanner Scott's a name I'm hearing, could be coming to Boston, but don't overreact because we didn't get Blake, we don't get Max, and I'm going to overspend for Corbin Burns.
Right. No, that's a key mistake, and used to happen a lot more in the NBA. I feel like where you strike out and you want to get something, and then you just overpay. The amount you'd give to the stud, you give that close to that amount to a tier 2 guy or a borderline tier 2, tier 3 guy. So I'm with you. They're obviously trying to get back into it, and there's room to move up in that division, obviously, for the most part there. So interested to see that the way that goes, and hoping we get some more drama here this next couple of weeks here in the MLB. They need to get this offseason drama up like the NBA does, and maybe that'll help their viewership once April comes around.
3 games in the NFL tomorrow. We'll start ass backwards. Your Packers are hosting Miami, a very interesting spot. You took care of business against San Fran last Sunday. Miami rolls the Patriots. Short week for Miami. Warm weather team traveling to Lambeau. I'm hearing snow. I'm hearing wind, which doesn't quote unquote usually bode well. You'll see all the stats Tua in weather below 30 degrees. This offense can't run. It's supposed to be a layup for you, but of all the 3 games, I think Miami's the most dangerous dog on Thursday.
Oh, for sure, and yeah, I mean we could compare them to the other two, but no, I'm with you. And the Dolphins are just playing with so much momentum right now. They're desperate to end that narrative that they can't go and play in cold weather. It's not weather. It's going to be cold, but it's not going to be the bitter cold. Can barely feel your legs when you're making a tackle like they played in Kansas City, whatever that was last year or the year before. I think it was last year, right? Where it was 0 degrees, whatever it was. It's not going to be that cold. So it is going to be cold, but it's not going to have that same type of effect. So I'm a little nervous about it. The Packers really just need to show up and play a better full 4 quarters brand of football than what we've seen from them lately, as far as limiting penalties and mistakes. No Jordan Love, head scratching, interceptions or borderline interceptions, and see what they can do as far as a game plan defensively against these receivers, because they're obviously heating up. No pun intended, but the offensive receivers, Jalen Waddle back and playing, looked good last week. So I am a little nervous about it. It is a tough spot. I think the Packers are welcoming the opportunity, but at the end of the day, you just go through. I talked about it these last 2 weeks. These last 2 weeks were absolutely massive, and this last week, obviously, looking ahead to it, didn't foresee that Brock Purdy, Bosa, and all these guys were going to be that banged up, and so it obviously wasn't as high stakes as it looked like it could be, but just went through a hard-fought game against the Bears and the Niners to really supplant yourself as a true playoff, and they had been, but obviously they lose those 2 games, and things you're kind of pushing the panic button. So exhaust a lot of energy in those last 2 games, I think, is just as much of an important point to mention in this one coming up tomorrow night. So that throwing that aspect into it, your bitter rival in the Bears and a team that you've been dying to beat, and you get a chance to smoke them. I'm hoping they're not sitting back a little too fat and happy, waiting for them to welcoming in the Dolphins to the cold, expecting them to walk in the park. Because if that's the attitude, then the Dolphins might steamroll them tomorrow night.
And the tough to defend Miami is your D-backs, your cornerbacks. Again, you don't want to be playing up tight because a slip and Waddle or Hill, can get by you in 2 seconds, which now is going to open up the middle. Jono Smith has just been a machine of late, and you get A-Chain into space, and one blink of an eye, and he can be by you too. So again, I'm wondering, no Romeo Dubs, I assume.
Correct.
And when the case is, Tucker Kraft did score last week, but it's been quiet the last few weeks. He's had a lot more success staying in and blocking. So it'll be interesting to see if Miami puts a lot of pressure on Love. If that keeps Kraft in, they can't have pizza pan hands. Watson dropping 50-yard touchdowns. Obviously, gonna need a big reuniting with Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed has been not active I'll say the last month, because I got him on our big team. I'll go back to that game in Brazil, 2 touchdowns and a bazillion catches. It's been a long time since he's been his binky. No Romeo Dubs here. There's no excuse, right? It should be a Jaden Reed show, shouldn't it?
Yeah, and then the only other guy that I mentioned, I think it was maybe it was yesterday or the day before when we were talking, is and again, not as far as that security blanket, but Dontavion Wicks has to step up. He came out of the season strong and then had some rough weeks with some drops, and now these last few weeks, really only seeing him with one nice catch or so, if that, these last few weeks. But yes, Jaden Reed, like you said, nothing really week 2, but yeah, the first 4 out of 5 games is putting up some legitimate numbers that you can hang your hat on and feel good about. And ever since then, the Detroit game, he was good, but ever since then, 2-3 catches, maybe 4 at best, and that's about it. So that is going to be one thing and the other thing on top of that I was going to add is, I assume the Packers are going to try and bring some, physicality with, Josh Jacobs using Tucker Kraft in that type of sense. And then you get that, change of pace, and you figure out a way to RPO action with Jaden Reed. And so I think they got to get a little more creative, especially with no Romeo Doubs, because Doubs has been, that security blanket in a lot of, when all else fails, throw one up or tight coverage for Romeo Doubs. So I'm with you. I don't know that it'll be security blanket, but I do think they will try to find creative ways to get him into the office, Jaden Reed there.
Middle game will be the comatose game, Dallas and the Giants. Cutlet, I don't think Cutlet didn't even travel. That's right. So Drew Lock should be the starter there. Daniel Jones signs with the Vikings. I've seen the Cowboys now steamed up to 3.5, 4s. I'm not getting the banana in the tailpipe. If you Venmo me $100 to bet on that game, I'd Venmo you $200 back to take the bride out. I want no part of this game. I don't care if I had Biff's almanac. I'm telling you.
No, I'm with you. I mean, you've got a situation where the Cowboys go into Washington and they upset the Commanders, and the Giants get absolutely embarrassed. And now we're sitting in Dallas for a Cowboys Thanksgiving game, and they're only 3.5, 4. It is a little concerning, but then to your point, there's no part of me that is feeling any type of confidence in this Giants team. I like Brian Burns and what they're doing, building their defense going forward potentially, but at the end of the day, it is an ugly scene over there. And I don't know what to expect from Drew Lock. Had it been Tommy DeVito, my case for the Giants winning would have been kind of what we saw from last year, where I could remember you and I sitting here where we saw what Tommy DeVito did whether it was a relief or the first game he played, and he throws like 5 total passes or whatever the heck it was. And I'm sitting here saying, how in the world did the Giants win another game? And then they win 3 out of 5 or something like that. So that if Tommy DeVito was playing, that would be the one, and not be putting any money on it whatsoever, but just the one way where I said, this is how the Giants win, is look at what happened last year, and Tommy DeVito comes out of nowhere and's got a spark and some magic. But I have no idea what to expect. For optimism for the Giants, you're hoping that Drew Lock can find some connection with Malik Neighbors and moving the ball that way. But other than that, it is ugly sledding right now.
The 12:30 game is interesting. I know it's the year of the Lions. I know that Campbell's not afraid to put up a 50 burger. I just go back, and we've talked endless about this last year. It was the Jordan Love coming out party. They were 7-point underdogs to this Lions team, and the Packers steamrolled them. This is a perfect spot for the Lions showcase game. Not that they haven't had any island games, but really to make a stamp and say, hey, we're the NFC team to beat. You're coming through us, through the dome. We're not going anywhere. And just lay it on the Bears. Make Caleb miserable. Make DJ Moore walk off the field. Keenan Allen tap out at halftime. They have that mentality right now. But again, I'm not running to the window to lay 12 points or 11 points with the Lions, even though I expect the Lions to win. Don't get me wrong here. But it's division game, short week on Thanksgiving. I've seen a lot of strange things happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. And again, I am not running to the window on the Bears either. But I guess the one optimism that I would have for the Lions to really lay it down is obviously it wasn't the Bears that they played last Thanksgiving, but they don't want to get embarrassed on Thanksgiving again and punched in the mouth. And so I would expect them to be motivated. But to your point, there's some weird things that could happen in this one. It is a division game. The Bears have looked a lot better offensively these last 2 weeks. Again, those were 2 division games, so maybe they, that was they exhausted all efforts into those 2 games. I expect them to still be motivated for this one. And so I think they can give them a scrap here. I really do. And so I'll lean towards the Bears covering and keeping it a closer game. Again, I don't expect them to win. The other caveat to this is the last 2 years. I think 3 of the last 4 games, and again, it wasn't Caleb Williams, of course, but Eberflus, of all his divisional opponents, the Lions have been the one that he's had the most success in, whether it's a win in the last 2-3 games or just keeping it close against when they're huge dogs against a much better Lions team. The Bears have been a little bit of a thorn in the Lions' side these last couple of years with Eberflus here.
1,000% there. And then on Friday, again, Chiefs, death by 10,000 paper cuts, the return of Pacheco, double-digit favorites against the Raiders, another divisional game. A big game for the Chiefs. Hey, let's win. Let's get to 11-1. Let's get the extra day's rest. And in come the Raiders, who shocked the world early this year in Baltimore. Down 10, came all the way back in the late third and fourth to win that game. Thoughts on that game?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. This is the one where you would expect the Chiefs to win by a zillion. They've had their close call. Obviously, lose to Buffalo, but that one's sandwiched in between a close one against Carolina and a close one against Denver. So you would expect them to be ready and not sleepwalking into this game. They had the off-season motivation against the Raiders. They beat them the first time around with 27-20. There's a part of me, and I'm not laying the wood with the Chiefs, but there's a part of me that thinks this Chiefs team is really going to try and flex their muscle against this Raiders team. Maybe more so, at least on defense, and their defense steps up and makes this one real ugly, and then Patrick Mahomes and the offense just, they do what they have to do to win the game. But I kind of expect this Chiefs defense to give this Raiders some hell on Friday afternoon, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I don't, another quarterback, Minshew out. Sounds like both starting backs out. It'll be the Abdullah show. Maybe Lobb gets in there. Brock Bowers has slowed down a little. Still the best number 2 tight end now in fantasy behind George Kittle. Jacoby Myers has looked decent of late. But again, dome team traveling Midwest, cold, Chiefs. Would I be shocked if Chiefs up 13, late touchdown by Bowers, lands on 6? I wouldn't. It just, watching this team plod, so used to them throwing a deep ball to Tyreek or Kelce, and they're just a dink and dunk machine, and had a lot of injuries, but I think Pacheco alone will give them a little boost that they're looking for.
Oh, for sure. And I'm curious to see what it looks like in the playoffs against a string of better teams here. They've got a halfway tough schedule the rest of the way here, so I expect them to lose a couple more games, but I don't expect it to be tomorrow on Friday here against the Raiders, so I'll say that.
I'm going to blast through the NHL team totals. There's a lot of them, guys. It's they're full slate tonight. dark on Thanksgiving and back at it Friday, Saturday. So grab your pen if you're interested in some team totals here. New Jersey team total over 3.5 is minus 15 cents against Jim Montgomery and the St. Louis Blues. The Carolina Hurricanes are 3.5 over, minus 15 cents as well. You can get some big cherries on top in returns here. The Wild team total over 3.5 plus 130, and the Panthers team total over 3.5 plus 130. Panthers play Toronto, Wild at Buffalo. Tampa team total over 3.5 plus 110 against Washington. I got to give this out here. There's a scenario that's been red hot. Now this one hits the system, and if I told you what it is, you're not going to run to the window. The Bruins play the Islanders tonight. The Bruins lost 2-0 last night to the Vancouver Canucks. The under-over is 5.5. Teams coming off a shutout. Their next game, the first period over, is hitting at about a 70% clip. So I'm going to say this, and you guys decide what you want to do it. First period over, Bruins and Islanders over 1.5 right now is even money. You might get it minus 105. So Bruins, Islanders, first period over 1.5, minus 105. Vancouver team total over 3.5 plus 120 at Pittsburgh. Nothing there. Nashville team total over 3.5 plus 110 against Philly. Dallas team total 3.5 over minus 15 cents at Chicago. Riley's Blackhawks there. Colorado team total over 3.5 minus 115 against Vegas. And last but two more. Seattle at home over 3.5 plus 105 against Anaheim. And you can get Ottawa Senators over 3.5 even money at San Jose. So that's your hockey report. Big slate for you in the NBA, Riley.
Yes, sir. Some big numbers actually in this slate here tonight. Some double-digit spreads, some 240s on some of these totals here. Heat Hornets is one that I'm looking at. Heat minus 4.5 at a struggling Hornets team. Heat coming off a back-to-back lose last night at home against Milwaukee. Got to go over to Charlotte. Heat had been playing up until last night fairly well. Charlotte coming in struggling a little bit. Lost 4 of their last 5. 4.5 though seems a little slim to me. I think the Hornets have a chance to keep this one close and potentially get a win and get themselves back on track a little bit here. So I like the Hornets tonight. Let's see some of these big spreads. Grizzlies minus 7.5 at home, getting a lot of respect there. Pistons 2 nights ago get one back against the lowly Raptors. Other than that, have not been playing well offensively at all. This Grizzlies team is rolling right now, so I think you're going to see. And we talked about this Grizzlies team having some success without Ja Morant. He is out tonight, and yet we're still sitting at 7.5. I do believe. Last I checked, so kind of expect a big performance from the Grizzlies without Ja Morant here tonight. Kings and Wolves in Minnesota. Both these teams are actually struggling. 3-4 game losing streak for these two teams. Both of them struggling offensively. 218.5 total. Probably not what we're going to see in a few months from these two teams, but sitting right there for now at least. I don't know what to make out of this one, but at least kind of a tread lightly type situation in this one. I'll say this one goes over the 218.5, and one of these teams wakes up offensively. But that one was more of just mentioning it and. Don't run to the window until maybe with at least a side on this one because these two teams are still trying to figure themselves out. Lakers, Spurs playing well right now. 4 in a row in the W column. 2 of them against Utah, so you can take that with a grain of salt. But the other 2 in that stretch is OKC and Golden State. So they are playing really well, playing well defensively. A couple of those games against actually the two better teams. OKC holding them to 104, Golden State holding them to 94, and they are welcoming the Lakers on a 3-game losing streak here. So you got a 227.5 on the total in this one. Lakers have been playing right up around those numbers there. I'll say the Spurs hold them down a little bit offensively, and this one goes under. But I'm liking the Spurs defense right now. It is kind of humming on all cylinders. So I like the Spurs to take care of business potentially in that one. And then, like I said, bunch of big numbers. Thunder and Warriors, the late cap on ESPN, I do believe. So I might stay away from that one, but at least a fun one to watch with a couple of good teams there. Both these teams a little banged up, and you've got no Steph Curry tonight, actually, but nonetheless, still a good matchup. OKC minus 4.5, but might be one of those weird ones where you got no Steph and Golden State's the underdogs, and the next thing you know, they show up and they find a way without him. So lost their last two, the Warriors here. I'm not putting my money down on it, but I'll go on record and say the Warriors without Steph find a way, despite it not making much sense for you there.
Well, it's funny because I'll be on Sports Grid tonight at 8:32 with Dave Sharapan and Scott West. So producer asked for me to give out some leans in hockey, some college hoops, and the NBA. The funny thing is, I did give out OKC money line when it was at 2. Now the fact that it's at 4, as you said, no Curry, wink, wink, and this is the perfect late night. Oh, OKC and SGA and all the rest of them, they're going to walk. You know how this works.
I was going to say, this is almost like I almost put tonight as almost like it's not a payday Friday by any means, but it's you got all the friends getting back together in their hometowns before Thanksgiving. They go out, it's the kids call it Blackout Wednesday. I'll be honest, I partook when I was in college coming home. I'm probably going to see some friends tonight and watch some sports. So it's a high volume night, whether it's college basketball or that specific, at least NBA game, that Lakers Spurs game. So going to be a lot of action tonight. So there's probably some landmines out on the board, and that is my my landmine of the night. There is the Warriors without Steph finding a way.
I'm going to go through the college hoops right now. I was very successful on Monday, seeing some sharp moves that
Before
we went
you do,
again.
sorry, Auburn 39-19 and close to the end of the first half right now, up on Memphis.
Well, the plus 330 pre-flops looking pretty good for the ECSI VIPs there. Let's see here. Any big moves to talk about that stick out, that look out of place? Nothing. Some money coming in on Cal State Northbridge right now. You can get them +1 at Montana. Keep an eye on Long Beach State, +6.5 at San Jose State. There's some money coming in, trickling in on Arizona in a bounce back against Davidson. That's now up to 16. I like Michigan State catching the 5. I know people are playing the bounce back with North Carolina. They're 158.5. I do like the North Carolina, though. Total over the 81.5. You can get that at +105. Connecticut Dayton opened at 7.5 for the 149. Now 7.5 for the 146.5. If you had bet the dog in the over in all these games, you'd be rich right now. I don't have a temperature. What's going on with UConn? I know this. They want to get the hell out of Dodge. They want to get back to stores. They got to sit in their shit and wait till the last game, as they're in the consolation of all consolation games against the Flyers. And I'll be truthful, I would not be shocked if they laid an egg, went 0-3 in Maui, and took their lumps. I do not have a good pulse on them right now. A little buyback, bounce back here on Creighton. Was 4.5, now 4 against A&M. People are jumping in on Alabama at 11.5. That's up to 163. I kind of leaned Rutgers there in the 11.5. Houston from 15.5 to 17 with a 134. I expect big things from Houston, and especially on the defensive end tonight there. Anything else sticking out? They're California Baptist opened at 5. It's at 7 right now at the Superbook. They're playing Fresno State. Keep an eye on Fresno State there if you can catch a 7. And other than that, let me see in the extra games. California goes from 19.5 to 23 against Mercyhurst. St. Louis goes from 7.5 to 10.5 against UMass Lowell. Some money coming in on Houston Christian, now 4 against Northern Arizona. And last but not least, NC Wilmington from 6.5 to 8.5. Colgate team's pretty good. Keep an eye on Colgate on that one. And last but not least, Marshall from 8.5 to 10.5 or 11 against South Carolina State. And Western Illinois opened up 3-point favorites. Money coming in hard on Incarnate Word, now 1.5-point favorites. If you like Incarnate Word over Western Illinois, please play the money line.
There you go.
Closing thoughts, sir.
Nothing too crazy. Just hope everyone, like I said, as the kids call it, it is Blackout Wednesday, and so I'm not sure if that is still what they call it. Maybe that's just what we called it when I was a college kid. But either way, stay safe tonight if you're out on the roads. Obviously, don't drink and drive. But even if you're not doing that and you're out on the roads, be aware of some crazies, because this is one of the biggest nights of people obviously being a little too crazy and getting out of hand. So watch yourself there. But obviously, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We always love the support. I know Jeff always thanks everybody, but I want to take the time to thank everyone for being a part of the show and supporting the show. So we cannot do it without you. Hope everyone has a fantastic Thanksgiving, has a successful Thanksgiving if you're putting some wagers in on football or basketball or hockey or whatever it is. And obviously have a fun weekend if you don't see us here talking again. With especially football, obviously, but everything else that is going on as well with the world of basketball and the entire world of sports, my friends. We thank you so much, and have a fantastic holiday tomorrow.
ECSI VIPs, again, having a great week. Took one on the chin with a 3-point buzzer beater for the under at the 2 o'clock start. Looking good with about 6 minutes to go on our second game. 3 more games left. Anyone that's a regular watching the show that is interested or intrigued about becoming an ECSI VIP, what better way to treat yourself for an early Thanksgiving and Christmas gift? I'm a giver, not a taker. It's all about, educating, trying to win, grin, and profit together. As everyone knows here, January 1st will be the start of our 10th year of public service, our 10-year anniversary. We couldn't be happier. We got so many new things our sleeve will make your head spin. You can go to our website at eastcoastsportsinvestors.com. Hit plans and pricing. You can sign up for as little as $3 a day, like your own gym membership. Get every play, every future, every prop, every alert sent to you via text to your cell and email daily. We don't take days off here. We do take days off, but you'll still get a hello from me or someone else from this team here. But we're running 50% off. So again, if you'd like to go through the rest of 2024, through the Super Bowl, through March Madness, through the Masters, you can do that for that 1 month price of $375. $375. That's regularly $700. We're going to do it for $375. Sign up. Tell me, hey Jeff, I just signed up. We'll get your email. We'll get today's alert out, and then we'll take care of the back end. Otherwise, if you want to go through and just get your feet wet, it's $3 a day, $99 a month, and you can sign up today and start winning tonight. So tomorrow will be dark here. And on Friday, the NCAA Insiders at 11 a.m. Matt, Hugh, and Nick will be here with myself. And around 11:35, Adam Trigger will be here to talk some college hoops. And then me and Riley will figure out when we will be doing the closing bell. We'll get everyone caught up what happened Thursday. We'll talk about the Chiefs, Raiders, and of course get you set up for the weekend there. I myself will be Saturday at Boston College, the final home game against Pitt. So that ought to be interesting. Hopefully not too cold. And again, if you're bored, I will be on Sports Grid at 8:35 or 8:32 tonight with Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson1. We wish everyone a blessed evening, a great Thanksgiving. Be grateful, guys, please. A lot of people less fortunate than us, and if we can give, please give to someone that is a little less fortunate as us. So have a great holiday, enjoy the festivities, enjoy the football and the rest of the sports, and we'll catch you back here on Friday.